All right, welcome back, everyone. This is Ebony again, a.k.a. Fit Mom Diva of Simplicity Health Style, and today we have Miss Jazminda with us. How are you, Jazminda?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you so much for being here. You guys, she has a wealth of info and experience that she wants to share with you today. And as a form of appreciation, if you do stick around to the end, you'll have an opportunity to earn a complimentary gift. So let's stick around and see what she wants to share with us today. So can you get us started so we get to know a little bit more insight into you and explain just one motivational quote that really empowers you, encourages you, and gets you going?
So my quote is by William Arthur Ward, and it says, "If you can imagine it, you can achieve it. If you can dream it, you can become it."
Awesome. That is all about mindset too. And I just love anything that has to do with mindset development. That's a wonderful quote. What made you decide to choose that one and how does it empower you?
That was a quote that really got me through college, specifically my senior year of college. But I come from a really rough background, and so I'm a first generation college student. Nobody in my neighborhood talked about college, went to college. And so it was a real big deal, me stepping out of my comfort zone and going to college. And so that quote really pushed me through. It really let me know, I can be whatever I wanted to be. As a kid, you hear people tell you all the time, you can be whatever it is that you want to be when you grow up. But when you come from a particularly rough background, you hear that and you don't always believe it because you don't ever see anybody come out of the situation that you're in. And so I stumbled across that quote and it stuck with me forever. And so it was really like, wow, like I can be whatever it is that I want to be.
Yeah, and you actually experienced it too. I know that that's something that we all hear from the time that we probably watch cartoons at 5 years old. But unless you see enough people around you able to actually achieve their dreams, it kind of seems like, yeah, it sounds great, but that doesn't really happen in real life. But it does happen in real life. You're just not used to seeing enough success stories where people were in a situation where maybe they didn't have a lot and then were able to move through that and actually accomplish what it is that they set their mind to. Can you talk a little bit more about maybe even some of those experiences or some other experiences where you didn't necessarily see the light at the end of the tunnel and you had to overcome some obstacles and some challenges? And at the end of the day, you were able to see that goal or that dream to fruition.
Most definitely. So like I mentioned, I come from a particularly rough background. I was adopted by my step grandmother at the age of 4. My birth mom has been heavily on drugs and in and out of prison my entire life. I will say she has been clean for the past 6 years and is doing really great now. But as a child, that's not a stable environment. That's not a good home. So my step grandmother adopted me when I was 4 and raised me until I was 18. And so when I actually decided that I was going to go away for college, for my grandmother, it was kind of like me turning my back on the family and leaving the family. She really expected me and wanted me to stay home and help her raise my younger siblings and cousins that were in the house. And that just wasn't what I saw for myself. And so I left home and went to Santa Clara University after I graduated from high school. And being in Santa Clara University was a whole different monster in itself. So it was a predominantly affluent school. It's a private Jesuit school. And so I had never been in that environment before. So all my life I went to predominantly Hispanic schools. And so I was always in predominantly Hispanic environments. And then going to Santa Clara University, and it was a majority of the school is Caucasian. So it was very different. So sitting in a class and being the only Black student in the class was eye-opening for me, because even though I was with predominantly Hispanics, there were also other Black students at the schools that I went to. So that was a whole thing in itself. But then leaving home and everything, the only family that you've ever known, everything that you ever known is kind of gone, was really a whole another issue. And so I was in California, never left Arizona, had never, lived outside of Arizona, lived outside of my grandma's home, and then being in college, in a dorm room, in California, not knowing anybody. And so I had a really rough. I'd say my freshman year was definitely rough. And there were a few times that I actually contemplated dropping out, like, this isn't for me. I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know why I thought that I could be the one in my family to go to college and be the first one to get a degree. And so that was really rough. And I definitely did not see the light at the end of the tunnel. However, I
Looks like we got a little disconnected. Okay, are you back? Are you? Okay, we got disconnected, but you can continue. We left off where you said light at the end of the tunnel. And then I didn't hear what you said after that. But you can go ahead and retract.
Yes, so I was definitely saying that it was in that time and in that, in that space that I definitely did not see the light at the end of the tunnel. However, I did push through and I actually earned 2 bachelor's degrees. I went on and got a master's degree. I'm actually a year away from my doctorate degree.
Nice. Wow. And all of that stemming from an environment where you didn't see anybody step foot in a college setting.
Yes,
that's amazing. And then doing it in a new environment that culturally was something that was brand new to you also. That's an amazing story. Can you talk a little bit about maybe any support that you might have had or any challenges with support that you have? Because sometimes when we're realizing our dreams, we don't necessarily have the support system built in that we feel is what we need, what's necessary to help us get from point A to point Z. And a lot of times, family and friends, they may say they want to support you, but they don't necessarily know how to support you in the area that you're looking to go in. So can you talk a little bit about maybe your challenges with that, or just some words of, encouragement or wisdom that you can give for other people out there that are listening that don't have a support system?
Definitely. I would say one thing is you always have a support system, even if you don't think or feel like you do. And that was one thing that I really had to learn. I was very fortunate that when I was in about the 4th grade, I started to attend an after-school program. It's a very small local after-school program in Arizona, and it's Downtown Urban Community Kids, or DUC. And I started that program when I was in the 4th grade, and I had so many people that really believed in me and really pushed me, which was a big part.
Cut out again, Jazminda, but I'm about to hopefully have you come back on. Sorry for those of you listening. The weather is a little patchy today. We're gonna see if she can come back. Can you see and hear me, Jazminda? Okay, got you back. Go ahead and repeat everything that you were just saying about support. I did hear the very beginning when you said that sometimes you said that everybody has a support system, but I didn't hear a whole lot after that.
Okay. So yeah, I was saying everybody has a support system, even if you don't feel like you do or you don't think you do. And that's one thing I had to learn. I was fortunate. And when I was in the 4th grade, I started attending a nonprofit, an after-school program in Arizona. And it's a very small, there's only one organization, and it's Downtown Urban Community Kids. And the acronym for it is DUC. And I had a whole team of people there that really believed in me. They prayed for me. They were really there for me. And, it was thanks to them that I actually went to college, and they hooked me up with a college advisor, and he helped me do college applications and FAFSA, stuff that I wouldn't have been able to do on my own. I would have, wouldn't have understood on my own. And so even my entire college process and every step of the way, they were there for me. They were praying for me. They were cheering me on. And at the time, I didn't really see that. because I was so focused on what I had going on, and I was so focused on, I don't have any family that supports me, I don't have any friends, I don't have all these things. And in reality, I had this whole group of people that were behind me and had been behind me since I was in the 4th grade, since I was a little girl. And it was a lot of these people that would always tell me how smart I was and how I could do anything, and they could see me changing the world and, all of these things. But when you're in that tough situation, it doesn't necessarily always feel like you have that support system. But I would say, like I said, I feel like there's always, even if it's one person, there's always somebody. But the other thing is, if you truly do feel like you don't have a support system, is really getting out there. And it's hard. You don't want to tell people what you're going through. You don't want to, get it out there like, hey, I'm struggling, but telling one person, having a conversation. You never know what somebody else is going through. And the way that people can support each other is powerful. That was one thing. My first best friend that I made in college, she actually, was a funny story. She and I were the only 2 students that did not have families with us for orientation. Santa Clara requires all freshmen to go through an orientation. Everybody else came with their parents, and she and I didn't have any parents. And so we sat at a table together, and everybody else was sitting with their families. And, they came with moms and dads and brothers and sisters, and it literally was just her and I. And so she made a joke when somebody came over, and she was like, oh, this is the orphan table. Like, we don't have any parents. And so, but it was really to like break the ice, and we laughed and we got to share stories. And even though we were from she came from a 2-parent home and, had very supportive mom and dad, and I came from my situation, we were definitely able to bond, and we definitely supported each other through college. We were there for each other. We were checking in with each other, making sure, how are you doing? Are you doing okay? And so definitely just putting yourself out there, building connections with people, and you will find that there's always somebody out there that is going to be there to support you, and really helping to support each other is critical.
Yes, I totally agree with that. I think that there's always somebody to help support you. It's just a matter of you looking in the right places. And with the online space, there are always communities of people that have very similar issues. And I promise you, if you find these communities and you put it out there like, hey, I'm new to the community and this is, my challenge area, there will be people that will come at you that you see as perfect strangers. So there's always that. And then there's always local community groups too. Some of them you can find online by doing just, real quick searches in whatever that topic area is. Places in your local city that you would have never stumbled upon if you didn't take that extra effort to be able to search for it. So I always say there's definitely always people to help support you. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be someone that's gone through the same exact thing sometimes. I think that sometimes just having someone to listen to you is enough. Like, they might not have ever experienced growing up in a similar, environment as you, but they're willing to listen to your story and listen to you vent. And sometimes that's all you need. So I think that
I agree.
You're right. Just extending yourself, like moving outside your comfort zone and extending yourself and talking to people, you begin to see that there are more people out there that can support you than not. Can you talk a little bit about self-care and the relationship between self-care and us achieving our dreams? Because we all know that that's an area that a lot of women struggle in. The reason for that is because they're taking care of families, they're taking care of, sometimes aging parents. They might just be taking care of themselves. They might have a busy school schedule with a busy work schedule, and at the end of the day, they're exhausted by the time they get home. After they've sat in 2 hours of traffic for the day, the last thing they want to do a lot of times is engage in some type of self-care. They just want to, whatever it is that is comfortable for them in the moment, but not actually self-care in the way of fulfilling them and that's meaningful to them. So can you talk a little bit about some forms of self-care that you use that's actually fulfilling and meaningful to you, and maybe some of your challenge areas when it comes to that?
So definitely, self-care is a big thing that I've been really learning and pushing myself to do. I just turned 30 in November. And so one of the things, so I'm a single mom of 2 kids, ages 4 and 5. I work full time. I go to school full time. And so I've always been focused on being the best mom, being the best employee, being the best student. And it's never been, okay, take some time to focus on you and do what's good for you. Do take, take a minute to just relax. And so about in August, a few months before my 30th birthday, I decided I was at this job that was just emotionally draining. I didn't feel like I was valued as an employee. And so for a long time, I talked about wanting to leave the state of Arizona. I want to move. I don't want to raise my kids here. I want a fresh start. I want something new. And so in May, I actually decided to leave my job. I'd always had an excuse as to why I couldn't leave, why I have a job here. I have a mortgage, I have this, I have that. And so I decided to leave my job in May. And so then it was like, okay, what's next? You don't have a job anymore. And it's like, I really was at a space where I said, by my 30th birthday, I want to be in a better space. I want to do more things that really make me, and I had to learn that in order to be the best mom, to be the best employee, to be the best student, I had to be my best self.
Yeah.
And that was a hard pill for me to swallow because, like I said, it's always, what do my kids need? My kids are always first. And so for me, I was like, okay, this environment that I'm in is just not a healthy environment for me. I don't want to be here. I feel like I'm stuck. And so I said, okay, I've left my job. The next thing to do is sell a house. Like we're moving. And we actually did. I sold my house. I packed up my kids, our dog, and our 2 fish and got on the road. And at like 4:00 in the morning on July 31st and started driving and headed to Texas. And so for me, that was really the first big step in my like, okay, this is a year focusing on self-care and focusing on you and being the best you that you can be. And I know everybody can't just pack up and move and it's not always your environment, but for me, that was really what I needed, was to really to take that step and to get out of my environment. And since then, I've really started to make time for myself, whether that is putting the kids to bed an hour early and sitting down with a book and a glass of wine, whether it's a Saturday. And for me, it was really like, I've always been like, these are my kids, they're my responsibility. It's not like I can't ship them off to somebody else to take care of them for a couple hours for me to do something for myself because it's selfish. That's always how I've looked at it, and I've learned that no, it's not selfish, but in order to be the best mom and the best you're to be the best mom and the best student and everything else, you need to be the best you. And so, like I said, whether it's putting the kids to bed an hour early and reading a book, or even, dropping them off with a friend, or there's a place here called Kids Park that's an hourly daycare center where they can go and play for a little while, and going to get my nails done and to get a massage. So those are some things that I've really started doing and have just started doing, and I'm following up. I've designated one weekend a month to go out and be able to just be an adult and interact with other adults and, have a good time. And so it's been a challenge, definitely, because like I said, I've always been so focused on not even, I don't necessarily even want to say focused. I think for me, it was definitely an excuse. I was making excuses as to why I couldn't take care of myself first. And in this 30th year, like, it's really just been so refreshing. And I've noticed that being in a different environment and really taking that time for me is I'm a lot less stressed. I'm a lot happier. And I've noticed that my kids are a lot happier.
Yeah.
And so I just think that any time that you can take a minute for yourself, and it doesn't have to involve spending money. It doesn't have to, you can sit in the bath and just meditate and reflect for an hour. But really doing something for yourself. And that was the other thing that I had to learn, was like self-care. I was always like, oh, I don't have time, or I don't have the money to self-care. I have 2 kids that I'm, paying all this childcare for and doing this and that for. And it doesn't even have to cost money. Like I said, sitting for an hour in complete silence and reading a book has definitely been golden for me. One of the things that I did before I had my kids was journaling. And I've started to do that again. And I have a dream of writing a memoir one day. And so really being able to just sit down and start to take those notes and write those pieces out has really been beneficial for me as well.
That's wonderful. And you're exactly right when you say that self-care is different for everybody. It's whatever you want to do with it, and it doesn't need to always cost money. Sometimes people think about, oh, I'm going to go get a manicure or a pedicure, and that's fine if that's really what fulfills you and that's meaningful to you. But you don't always have to spend money. Sometimes you spend money and then you're stressed out afterwards because you're like, oh, I really didn't have the money. Here I just spent money for self-care and I need more self-care to de-stress from my self-care, you know? So it really could be something as simple as, like you said, you just get your glass of wine, you get a bowl bath if you want to, look at all four walls, but it's whatever is going to bring a sense of fulfillment to you and feel like you're actually feeding your spirit. And a lot of times with women, you're exactly right when you're talking about having children and feeling like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I want someone else to take care of them. And, you know, is it that, you know, I'm being selfish if I allow somebody else to take too much time, where I'm allowing someone to take care of them and there's too much time away from them. But if you're run down and ragged, what help are you to your children?
Exactly.
So I'll be the first one to say, oh, which babysitter can I hire so that I can go do X, Y, Z for myself? And it's been that way actually since they were about 3 months old. You know, there are times when I'm just like, look, I need to get away so that I can be who Ebonie is, not who is just a mom, you know? So I think that for a lot of women, we will be better moms if we can take advantage of the fact that other people can help us out.
I agree with that 100%.
Thank you so much for taking some time today and sharing your experiences. I know for some ladies that are listening, they may have gone through similar experiences where they had to grow up a little faster than what they really expected to or wanted to based on family dynamics. And a lot of times, I don't necessarily hear those stories until I'm talking with someone one-on-one. So hopefully there's someone that is listening to this, you resonate with this and you're inspired by it. And if you know somebody else that's in a similar situation, that maybe they grew up in an environment where they didn't see that they were able to achieve their dreams, share this content with them, because I think that the more that people can see that other people are able to press through their experiences, the more that it gives people hope to press through their own as well. Most of us struggle with fear in some area of our life. We're just designed that way as human beings, you know, and it's a source of protection. Now, it's what you do with that fear. Do you press through it and go on and achieve your dreams, or do you sit back? Sometimes you have to use discernment, and that I know that for myself, there have been certain things that maybe I wanted to occur in my life. And I'm glad that fear stopped me because actually looking back on the circumstance later on down the road, I realized that it would not have been a wise decision for a bunch of different reasons. And I actually experienced more by listening to that fear than not. So you have to use discernment and some common sense sometimes with that. But a lot of times we do hold ourselves back from things that we could really achieve that is going to benefit the greater community around us. Any of you that are struggling with figuring out what that is, how you can help the greater community and serve others with your gifts. I said at the beginning of this interview that you would have an opportunity to earn a complimentary gift. I give out free resources and assessments so that you can understand what your personal gifts are and what strengths you have, so that you can have a foundation to understand how to develop in your own core life purpose in your own career. Because for some people, they're working in a job or career that is something that they're good at. Maybe they're successful at it, but they're not necessarily fulfilled in it. So I offer assessments so that you can have a ground layer to be able to identify what it is that you're going to be able to do that lights you up and that inspires everyone around you. We all have gifts. It's just a matter of opening up the package and figuring out what it is and using it. Jazminda, do you have any last words of encouragement that you would like to share?
I would just say keep pushing. One of the other quotes that really keeps me going is, it doesn't matter where you come from, what matters is where you're going. So keep pushing. You can definitely, it might seem hard, it might seem dark, but keep pushing and you will get to the other side.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much for sharing that. And most of the time, yes, we will get to the other side. If it's meant for us, we're going to get to the other side. Mm-hmm. And we're both open to you collaborating with us. If you like to collaborate with Jazminda, all of her contact info is in the description box. All of my contact info is in the description box, as well as my Nutrition for Busy Women Facebook group. That's where you can get to know me a little bit more intimately. So in order to a lot of times reach our goals, we need support. So we're telling you right now, we're here to help support you. If you don't have anybody else to support you, we're here to help support you and cheer you on in your endeavors. So I welcome you to collaborate with me either through email, and we can collaborate through my Facebook group, or some other modality. Either way, I'm here to help you out. Thank you, Jazminda. I appreciate you. And all of you listening, share this content out. And wherever you are in the world, please always remember to live a life full of meaning and purpose. I'll talk to you soon.